This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Right, whatever.
Well, let's get back to it.
Hurricane Kirk, or as they would say in Scotland, Kirk. Hurricane Kirk, which is currently in the mid-Atlantic, is expected to make its way eastwards towards Europe, which is where we are. If the storm encounters a jet stream, which Kirk is expected to do, it could then transform into an extra-tropical cyclone, but it's okay because the government says there's nothing to worry about. Many Brits faced days of flash flooding earlier this week, with the torrential rain leading to the Environment Agency to issue 157 amber flood alerts and 64 red flood warnings.
Warning, warning.
And there's no respite from this bad weather, as the Met Office has now warned of highly unsettled conditions over the weekend and into next week. It's like blooming winter outside. And in the wake of the stormy weather brought by Hurricane Kirk, snow could start falling on the UK as early as next week. Snow?
Oh, no.
A Met Office long-range forecast says that not enough will fall for a snowman to be built, but it will be enough for roads to be closed, trains to run slowly and flights to be cancelled. Or it would be if it weren't going to fall on parts of the Scottish mountains, so you'll only notice if you're a grouse, because your plumage camouflage won't work anymore. We had heavy rain and strong winds in large parts of Britain last week, and we can expect more of it next week.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, for Scotland and Northern Ireland, showers are more likely to turn cold, and this wintry weather is likely for it to work its way south by next weekend. Saturday, dry in the east, wet in the west, moving east overnight. Sunday, windy and rainy. Would you like to hit the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
No, I don't blame you. OK, first 2 weeks of October. October! How did that happen? We're 2 months out from Jesus' birthday. I can't believe it. First 2 weeks of October, mostly unsettled. Mostly. With frequent bouts of wind and rain, followed by a more settled interlude before more wind and rain again. And then last 2 weeks of October. Wet and windy weather at times, especially across England and Wales, but Scotland and Northern Ireland may see more drier spells.
What?
Scotland and Northern Ireland may see more drier spells in the south. Overall, drier conditions could be seen more widely later in the month. Overall, drier conditions could be seen more widely later in the month. We'll take it. So, this message coming in as I speak. Simon in Windsor texts, I wondered if you'd seen Donald Trump's advert for his new watch, which is apparently the greatest watch ever. It tells more time than any other watch ever invented. Believe me, everybody says so. It costs $100,000. And although your birthday is gone with Christmas coming up, I wondered if you were expecting one in your stocking. $100,000 for a watch made with Donald Trump's squiggle on the back. Does that sound worth it? Not really, no.
Don't be rude.
I can't help it, Donny. I just can't. I mean, the grifts that man is involved in, it's just... I mean, at this point, he's not trying to become the President of the United States of America. He's trying to become... Well, he's become already a carnival barker. He's selling trainers, he's selling watches, he's selling Bitcoin.
Warning, warning.
He's selling that money that's not actually money. Send me your money and I'll send you nothing in return. It's a great deal. This says, do you think Trump can remember ever being president? I think he'll be struggling to remember Kamala. I think he'd be struggling to remember Kamala. He can remember Kamala, but can he remember being president?
I can be more presidential than anybody.
Well, that indicates that he can't. He can't remember any of the things that he did when he was president. Otherwise, he wouldn't say stupid things like that.
Oh, shut up!
James says, can we please have an update on your new bathroom installation? Any seat issues with the builders sharing it with you? No, the old bathroom is still in situ. It is yet to be consigned to a skip. I'll keep you updated, James. 0345 6060 973. Ed Miliband has urged his party to stop selling access to senior government ministers. This is the breakfast secretary, the breakfast, the secretary for breakfast. Yeah, that's right, because that's a real position. Ed Miliband, have you heard, has urged his party to stop selling access to senior government ministers after it emerged that Labour had offered company bosses breakfast with the business secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, for up to £30,000. What? For £30,000, I'd want the business secretary to personally lay the eggs that go into the breakfast omelette. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband defended his cabinet colleague, saying he knew nothing about the breakfast. When asked, he said he didn't know. Don't bother him, he said, I'm tucking into a bacon sandwich. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband defended his cabinet colleague by saying he didn't know nothing about it. He said, this party was like this when I got here. Labour officials said the business breakfast is not going ahead.
Oh, no.
But what about the pastries? Who will eat the pastries? A Labour spokesmodel said the business secretary isn't involved in this, was completely unaware and isn't attending. He'll have to get his own breakfast, they said. They didn't say that, I did. He isn't involved in this, was completely unaware of this, and is not attending this breakfast that was organised for him to meet business persons at a price of £30,000 each. Who, me? I've got no idea, not even in the diary. I mean, if he happened to be walking past the breakfast buffet at the time, then coincidentally, those business persons would have been able to, earwig him for a bit. But that's as best as he can do. You're just going to have to show up at, randomly at all the breakfast bars in the land and see if he's there. But like a game. On Thursday, The Sun revealed that Labour's commercial team had emailed a pitch to businesses inviting them to a business breakfast at the Ivy restaurant in Manchester, if you please, where they probably do a luxury meal. Oh, I can only dream of having a luxury meal. For £15,000 plus VAT, companies were told that they would get an opportunity to give a keynote speech, photographs with the business secretary and others, and a dedicated member of the Labour Party staff to help make the introductions and probably to hold the camera. For £30,000, they'd also get to help decide who would attend. For £50,000, they could get the business secretary to be their personal alarm clock and sit on their bedside table all night and trumpet the dawn like a cockerel. In the pitch, Labour called the offer a unique opportunity to become a commercial partner at our business policy roundtable over breakfast. I don't get breakfast meetings. That's just too early in the day, isn't it? I mean, how early would you have to get up to attend a business breakfast, for crying out loud? I would need a breakfast and lunch and a happy morning sit-down before I meet anybody for a business meeting. And you can't eat while you're doing a business meeting. I mean, I've never done a business meeting in my life, but I've seen them on TV. There's nobody eating during a business meeting. How can you stuff your face while you're conducting business? Businesses regularly sponsor political events as a way to get close to senior party figures, it says in The Guardian. And this is all par for the course. And the only reason we're hearing about it is because it's Labour doing it, not the Tories, who, when they were in power, would be organising business breakfasts, but they would be serving blinis and borscht, and you'd have to pay in rubles. It's the only currency they accept. Both Labour and the Conservatives hosted business days at their recent party conferences. Not that sort of business.
Disgusting.
Not that sort of business. I mean, that went on, but that wasn't the... you didn't have to... Well, you did have to pay for some of it, but the money would not get funneled directly to the party of your choice. Both Labour and the Conservatives hosted business days at their recent party conferences where executives could pay about £3,000 to watch, and your mind is spinning already, isn't it? You dreadful, filthy person, you. They could pay about three... I think that's probably about the going rate, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's about that, yeah. You know, for a high-class experience. Business executives could pay about £3,000 to watch Speeches by senior party figures.
Boring.
That's not where your mind went at all, is it? You appall me. On the other hand, of course, you could get paid £3,000 to watch Liz Truss speak.
That is a disgrace.
Starmer, meanwhile, is working on new guidelines for accepting donations, having himself handed back £6,000 worth of gifts and hospitality that he and his wife accepted in recent weeks, while being criticised by the Tories, who haven't given back a single solitary penny they've ever received from anyone, no matter how personally close they were to Vladimir Putin. Isn't that right, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
You can't comment on that. Blah, 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 blah.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Here are the studio calls flashing up on the indicator.
Yes, first on the indicator is a caller in Heston called Isaac. Isaac.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Yes, very well, thanks.
Right, two things.
Couple of things.
One of them, one of them is the Tory party leadership contenders.
Oh, yeah.
I forced myself to watch the final day, and as I study,
Forced yourself, yes.
Exactly. I thought, oh, God, should I really do that? All right, let's do it. Anyway, I study psychology on an amateur basis, right? So
you study psychology on an amateur basis, right?
That's right. And
you mean you've read a book once?
Well, I've watched lots of YouTube videos. You know.
On what?
And on psychology, types of psychology, narcissism, clinical psychology, personality disorder, and so on and so forth. Anyway,
blimey! If only I knew that all of that was available on video, I wouldn't have wasted my time at university reading a book.
Anyway, my psychoanalytical assessment of the four candidates is
dopey,
what a
sneezy, loony, and happy.
Well, I'll add that into the mix. What a bunch of lightweight losers, right? And gaslighting narcissists. You know what I mean? I looked at all four candidates, right? The two, Generic and Tuganak, okay, they lack personality and charisma, right? Yeah. I'll give them both 3 out of 10. James Cleverly was better on the charisma. I'll give him 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the candidate I like the least out of all of them, Kemi Badenoch. Okay,
yes.
I'll score her 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
For charisma.
For charisma?
And charm, yeah, because she comes across as very convincing, although I know she's bad news, you know. And also, the other thing as well, James O'Brien got a mention by Tom Tuganak. He said that David Lammy was more annoying than James O'Brien. And that's what he actually said that, yeah. And my reaction is big up to David Lammy and James O'Brien, you know.
Annoying all the right people. Correctamundo.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anytime anything, of a psychological bent occurs to you, Isaac, I want you to let me know straight away. Promise me you'll do that, all right?
And the second thing, second final thing...
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think we've already had 2 things, haven't we? There was the thing about your psychological expertise, and then the thing about James O'Brien. That was definitely 2 things. What's the third thing?
Oh, see, okay, sorry about that. I'll learn to count in future. What it is that, I'm worried that the forthcoming Labour Party, what do you call it? Oh, gosh, budget thing, yeah? Yeah.
Yes.
They may target pensions and pensioners.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Well, as long as they only do it to you personally, Isaac, then that's fine by me. All right. Thanks a lot, mate. Another satisfied customer. I think you'll find that there are a lot of videos online to teach you how to count.
And 1,
2,
2,
3,
6 million.
Oh, that's very close. Very close. Tariq in Chertsey says Peter Andre was seen entertaining at the Conservative Party. Well, entertaining should have inverted commas around it, shouldn't it?
Yes.
Entertaining. That's a matter of opinion. Tariq in Chertsey says Peter Andre was entertaining at the Conservative Party conference. Now, do you mean that he was the entertainment or he was entertaining? Because the two aren't necessarily connected. He says, I hope he sang Mysterious Girl to Liz Truss. Liz Truss does look like she's been hit in the head by one of the heavier books in the shelf behind her on her Zoom calls. There just seems to be something wrong with her. She just seems to be very unclear.
I'm genuinely unclear.
She's very, very and genuinely unclear about everything. But she can arrange her face into a rictus grin while walking and not speaking at the same time. So, there is some talent there. What it could be used for, well, that's just another thing entirely. But she can walk and not talk at the same time. I wonder if she ever sees the video back of the look on her face as she's trying to barge her way through reporters asking her impertinent questions while trying... Because I think what she's doing is people are taking still pictures as she's doing that. And so she wants to look as though she's not concerned or worried or she's trying to be evasive or shifty or running away or any of these things. So she's thinking, if I just maintain this look of what my brain is telling me is happiness on my face, then I won't look odd in still photographs. How's that going, by the way?
Dreadful.
Yes. It really is, yeah. She's the oddest looking woman I've ever seen in my life. Could be the oddest looking person there is one person that is odd.
Oh, shut up!
But, at least she doesn't paint herself a colour of the rainbow. So at least she's got that. This text says, evening, Nick. I noticed the tail end of Hurricane Kirk is going to bring rain and snow to the UK next week. It's obviously Meghan's fault. Yeah, thanks a lot, Meghan Markle. No! You see what you've done with your meddling? 0345 6060 973. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, just to continue the theme of it, the Conservative Party conference. Mm-hmm. My sort of assessment of it was, you got your four competitors, and two than that, was he really there? I didn't notice. You've got Badenoch, who can't have any toes left because he shot himself in the foot so many times. While telling she deliberately shot herself in the foot on camera and then told us that it didn't happen. Right. Telling us that maternity and paternity benefits are too high. I mean, that's really great when we want more kids. And then you got Cleverly, usual stuff, half an hour, really slick, said nothing, misleads. He's technically an expert liar. Yeah. And then you go on to Jenrick, and he attempted to out Farage. Good luck with that one on his fob. Yeah. But the other funny thing that hit me was he started dishing out Bobby J baseball hats.
What?
And baseball Bobby J hats. Look it up.
What's a Bobby J?
Well, I suppose it's gone 10. BJ. B job.
Right.
Bobby J.
And on a baseball hat?
Yeah.
Why?
And he was dishing these things out.
But why, though?
I've no idea. There was no monologue, no dialogue or anything. So is he a fan?
I'm going to have to look this up.
Does he think that the country...
Is he a fan of who?
What? I've no idea, Nick. What on earth was going on? But just Google it.
Spell it.
B-O-B-B-Y.
B-O-B-B-Y.
Gap. J. Bobby J.
The letter J?
Letter J.
Right, not J-A-Y.
No.
All right, looking that up right now. Bobby J is also known professionally as Bobby's World, an American singer-songwriter, producer, and...
Urban Dictionary, Nick. Urban Dictionary. Well, Bobby J is a singer.
Yes, I know, but that wasn't the point. But why would it's controversial, and it's a weird thing to do.
Well, it's a weird thing to do from a guy who looks as though he's decided to become a skinhead from the 1970s. I mean, he's lost about 2 stone in weight and all of his hair. Now he just looks like he's threatening to offer you out into the car park. You spill my pint.
Now, I don't know whether it's just my TV, but you talk about Orange Dummy. Every time Jenrick appears on my TV, he has purple patches all over his face, similar to people who prop up the golf club bar. And I thought, is it my TV? But none of the other people coming on my TV have these purple patches all over it.
Well, maybe your TV just can't stand the sight of him and is deliberately acting up just to stop you from, just change the channel, man, for crying out loud. How much more of a clue do you need?
It was every channel. It didn't matter whether I watched him on Sky or BBC or ITV. Well, these purple patches appeared all over his face.
Purple patches, yeah. Well, you can say that's that should be the slogan of the Conservative Party from this moment on. Purple patches, yeah. Robert Jenrick gives out hats bearing a slogan about an act at a Tory conference. The Tory leadership frontrunner has a raft of merchandise available at the Tories' annual conference, and one of the items is a very rude slogan on it indeed, says The Mirror.
There you go.
Robert Jenrick's campaign is distributing hats featuring a very rude slogan which appears to demand a sex act. What the hell? Well, I'd say it's a pretty good job that I checked out this week and did not bother to spend any time looking at the Conservative Party conference, because I might have been appalled if I did.
Disgusting.
It started with the Tory leadership...
Your attention, then.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Cheers, Mike. Ta-da. All right. It all started with the Tory leadership frontrunners team deciding to start calling him Bobby J, an oblique reference to US slain presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy's campaign slogan. RFK's campaign pins bore the slogan, "We want Bobby K," which the Jenrick campaign malappropriated into "We want Bobby J." But it appears nobody at the campaign looked up the slang meaning of the term. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, so somebody came up with a slogan. They thought, oh, that's really clever. Bobby Kennedy, Bobby K, and so we'll take that and we'll use it as Bobby J. And then we'll get the hats made. Where are we going to get the hats made? Oh, I don't know. Somebody's going to have to pick up the phone to China. And, of course, we're going to have to do the artwork because we can't leave that to them. And so we'll have 10,000 of those hats, please, from China. I mean, I'm assuming that's where they came from. A British made? I wouldn't think so, no.
No.
And at no point did anybody on his team think, hang on a minute, is this one of those things where, like Donald Trump's people didn't tell him that he's got toilet roll stuck to his shoe as he galumphs up the stairs to his jumbo jet? I know it's not an actual jumbo jet, but, to fit him inside... Good grief. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I can't believe it. These people are not serious people. Mind you, they don't have much to compare themselves with. It's not a very high bar to leap over, is it, Bodge?
I can't comment.
You can't comment on that. Blah, blah. He will comment on that if you pay to get behind a paywall. You just need the money, honey. And then you can avail yourself of all of his words. He knows the best words.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Mike in Sutton says, "Hi, Nick. Thinking of buying a parakeet, but I'm not sure if I'm ready for that level of commitment." Is that a joke that I'm missing? A parakeet. Also, I am outraged about some islands in the Indian Ocean. I'll Google what they are and then get back to you, says Mike, who's very, very angry. As is a person in Haringey called Peter. Peter.
Hello, Nick. Yeah, I'm outraged at what's happening in Chagos Island.
Very, very annoyed. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're British territory, part of the Great Britain, British Empire. We've had them for over 200 years, and the clueless Labour government is just giving them away.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And so, what will you miss most about the Chagos Islands?
Well, they're part of the British Empire, British territory.
Yeah, but what will
The
you...
strategic importance.
What will you miss most?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're part of the British Empire. They're on the map as part of Britain.
Yeah, but colour it in for us, though, Peter. Tell us why you are so annoyed. What is it about the...
Mauritius?
What is it about
the... Mauritius?
What is it about the Chagos Islands that you will miss most?
Well, they're part of the British Empire.
You keep saying that.
Yeah. Well, that's important, isn't it?
Is it? Yes. Well, which bits of the British Empire that we've lost are you most concerned about so far?
Which part of what?
Of what used to be the British Empire, do you do you rue the loss of?
All of it. I mean, you don't want to give up parts of it. You don't need to. So you might. I mean, why is Labour just suddenly giving it up? What's going on? I mean, nobody knows about this, and the people from Chagos haven't been consulted either.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're like Chagos. Where's Chagos? They said.
Yeah, and you got the. US have got a base there. The US and the UK have got a military base there. You need to keep that there.
Yeah, well, they're keeping it there.
Well. And then China's going to move in there. Look what's happened in South China Sea. They flattened the atoll and built a base there.
Yes, well, it sounds like you've researched this just enough to be very, very angry about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible, though, isn't it? I mean,
I don't know.
Just giving it away.
I don't know how I'm going to
overnight. Nobody even knew about this.
No one knew about that. That's absolutely right. I don't know how I'm going to get over it.
What if they give away parts of UK territory here in the UK here?
Yeah, they could start with Haringey.
Well, they could give away if you give that away. I mean, you can't do that, can you?
No, well, you're absolutely right. Okay, well, you made some very important points there, Peter. Thanks for that.
And also, need to bomb Iran.
Yes. Oh, and another thing, they need to bomb Iran. Yeah, he had to get that part in, but, he just forgot that part right to the end. Oh, and another thing, bomb Iran. Yeah. What a fuss over nothing, eh? Almost 4 years ago, Britain's claim to sovereignty over the strategically important islands of Chagos in the Indian Ocean was comprehensively rejected by the United Nations Special International Maritime Court in Hamburg. Our claim over those islands was rejected by the UN. At the time, it said that the islands represented the UK's main strategic asset in the Indian Ocean, but a refusal to comply with the judgment will damage Britain's international reputation for compliance with the law. Yeah, that's what they said 4 years ago. But as for Britain's international reputation for compliance with the law, I think that ship sailed and sunk, Bodge?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah. The UK retained possession of the Chagos archipelago after Mauritius gained independence from us in 1968. In the early 1970s, between 1,500 and 2,000 islanders were chucked out of their own homes by us. Forcibly deported, so that the largest of their islands could be leased to the US for use as an airbase. And to the foaming right-wingers, that's not rewriting history, that is history. We threw those people off their own island for money. That's who we are. And they've never been allowed to return. The rejection of the UK claim was made by the Special Chamber of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. No! Which ruled that Mauritius was right to claim the Chagos Islands in line with the previous international court rulings. And now the same Tories that were negotiating for 4 years to return the Chagos Islands to the Chagosians are saying that Labour are traitors for doing the exact same thing.
Oh, fabulous.
Keir Starmer tried to brush off criticism of his decision to relinquish UK control of the Chagos Islands, insisting the decision secured the future of the military base at Diego Garcia. And besides, not one single British person could identify the Chagos Islands on a map if their lives depended on it. I mean, it's not like we're going to miss it, is it?
Correct.
The Prime Minister is facing major pressure over what critics said was the surrender of the Indian Ocean archipelago, which is 6,000 miles from Britain. And as you would expect, the very same people who are yelling surrender are the same ones that, during the Tory years in power, were themselves negotiating to give the islands back. They criticise others for doing the exact same thing they did. It's also conservative. Jonathan Powell, the UK envoy behind the deal, said the UK should not worry about losing such a small archipelago. Not one single person in the land is worried about any such thing, apart from that last caller. Jonathan Powell, the UK envoy, said these are very tiny islands in the middle of the Indian Ocean where no one actually goes. So I don't think we should... He said, I don't think we should be too worried about losing that bit of territory. We're probably losing more to tidal erosion and the east coast of England than that per year. But don't let yourself get caught bringing that tidal erosion to people's attention, or it's jail time for you, sunshine. Skier told reporters this morning the single most important thing was that ensuring that we had a secure base, the joint US-UK base, hugely important to the US, hugely important to us, said Skier. Actually, I'd have thought that the most important thing would be to do right by the people that we threw off their own land. But that's just the lefty woke communist in me talking. However, fears were raised that it could encourage those seeking a change of control over other British territories. Yes, there are other British territories. The Falkland Islands and Gibraltar, for instance. Gibraltar claimed by Spain, which is an outrage because it's nowhere near Spain. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's actually attached. But somehow it's ours. I mean, fears are also raised that it could mean that we will be forced to sell off our water and Oasis might tour again, and other natural disasters like that. I mean, it might actually get us to reflect that 6,000 miles away is pretty far to claim that we own somewhere. And that goes for the Falkland Islands more, because that's 8,000 miles away. But they've discovered oil around the Falklands, so we'll probably want to keep that too forever, under threat of death. Meanwhile, the great big greedy nincompoop hoved interview, seeking some publicity for his new book. Ain't that right, Bodge? Yes. Former worst Prime Minister ever, Boris Johnson, condemned the handover of the Chagos Islands, pointing out that they were a long way from Mauritius.
What?
Yeah, they're a long way from Mauritius, he said. London is 4 times further away. What's your point, Bodge? He said, what is this claim? It's nonsense. It's total nonsense. I have him saying that. I could look it up, but, what's the point?
It is complete nonsense.
That's what he said. Why are we doing this? It's sheer political correctness, he said. It's a desire to look like the good guys. A desire to look as though we are unbundling the last relics of our empire. It's nonsense. Pah! A desire to look like the good guys. How about just being the good guys? I mean, to say that sort of really pulls the cover back off him. That he thinks being a good guy is all about looking like being a good guy. That you can't actually be a good guy. It's not even in his lexicon. It's not even something that he would consider. No, you just look like you are. He said, why are we trading away our sovereignty? The Chagos Islands should be the sovereignty of the Chagos Islanders, not us, he said. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening, you idiot. And, by the way, trading away our sovereignty on the say-so of oily charlatans is apparently what we do now. Because we certainly didn't gain any sovereignty following that man out of the European Union. Bodge? No. And while the Tory truth twisters question the wisdom of giving back what was once a happy people's paradise halfway around the world, UK envoy Jonathan Powell said that the former Foreign Secretary and now Conservative leadership candidate James Cleverly deserves some credit for starting these negotiations. And, of course, he is among the critics who is now bemoaning the fact that we're handing over the island chain. Because, of course, he is. Any minute now, he'll be telling us about how he will bring integrity to the role of Tory party leader. You know.
This government.
Yeah, that government. The present UK government said the agreement would secure the future of the US-UK military base on Diego Garcia, the largest of the islands, after decades of international wrangling. And the US say the same. Everyone's happy, apart from the Conservatives who started the process of giving back the islands to the islanders and are now pretending that they think it's awful it's happened because a Labour MP finished their work for them. Syrian Duncan Smith said it was a huge mistake. Tory leadership contender Robert Jenrick said it's taken 3 months for Starmer to surrender Britain's strategic interests. Fellow hopeful Tom Tugendhat said this deal not only threatens our security but also undermines our allies. America, our ally, says it doesn't, and that they were involved in all the dealings and they couldn't be more happy if the deal was served on a pancake with maple syrup with cream on top. But that didn't stop the Clacton gas bag spewing out more disinformation. Or perhaps he was just asking questions, although this doesn't sound like a question. He posted online, "Giving up the Chagos Islands is a strategic disaster," said Nigel Farage. "Our American allies will be furious and Beijing delighted. Labour are making the world a more dangerous place," said Nigel Farage.
I'm a nutcase.
While the actual American Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, "Today's new agreement between Mauritius and the UK on the status of the Chagos archipelago is a win for democracy." Diplomacy is actually what he said. He said it secures the operational future of the joint military facility on Diego Garcia, reflecting our shared commitment to a secure and independent Indo-Pacific region. It sounds like he's delighted. Who to believe? The man who said the Americans would be furious? Or the completely delighted Americans who aren't remotely furious? So hard to choose. Select.
We've got a few idiots in our party.
Don't let that change your mind one way or the other. 0345 6060 973. Matty in Newmarket says, "Nick, just seen that bit in the Jaws movie where that man's head pops out of the bottom of the boat. Funny thing is, when I was a kid, that freaked me out. Now it just looks like someone had beheaded a great Yarmouth waxwork and popped out the hole in the boat." That is... there's always people who haven't seen Jaws or haven't heard Dark Side of the Moon or, the most significant artistic endeavours always have millions, if not billions of people who haven't actually seen them. Probably more haven't than have. But it's such a well-known film that I feel I don't have to say spoiler alert.
Warning, warning.
But I will anyway, because that's the decent thing to do. Yeah, that was the scariest part of that film. When the head rolls out of the porthole. I've never got in a body of water that has not been surrounded by tiles since.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What are you talking about?
This and that. Let's talk let's talk about that with this person in Omar called Barry. Barry.
Nick,
Barry.
how are you?
A great mate.
I'm a big fan, but I've just one criticism first before I make my point about Chagos Island.
Mm-hmm.
You should get off the fence and say what you really think about the Tory party.
You're right. I've been too restrained.
Yeah. Obviously, people in Northern Ireland are just like that. Anyway, I wanted to ask, from the position of Northern Ireland, a different island from the one you're on, but part of not just the British Empire, but the UK. We're not part of Great Britain, funnily enough.
Yeah, UK.
We're just part of UK.
Yeah.
Who gave the Chagos Islands to the British?
Well, I believe that the French bumped into them first, and then we bumped into them second, and as is our way, we said, right, that's it. All of you people have to leave, unless you agree to the following terms and conditions. We play cricket from now on, and we're going to take all your best stuff. And anybody that raises a finger of objection is dealt with severely to death.
Well, more or less. I always imagined there'd be a fleet of sailing ships, and then the guys would get off in their small boats and land on the beach. And
and then claim it, which would make it very interesting for people coming over from Calais to land on beaches in small boats from Dover.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Technically, according to the history of this country, this country is now the property of those people who have arrived on small boats.
Well, I think that's what Nigel Farage is trying to tell us.
If only he could speak louder, because he's usually 4,000 miles away.
Not far enough.
Not far enough. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Barry. 0345 6060 973. Mike in Sidcup says, I didn't see this mentioned in any of the medical journals, but it was placed in some of the daily papers. Mad cow disease may be re-emerging, as it was reported that Liz Truss said that she would have done better than Fishy in the elections if she had remained Prime Minister. And she has made it very clear that she has completely cut the cord with reality.
I'm genuinely unclear.
Yeah, she's genuinely unclear about being clear. 0345 6060 973. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Nick. Couple of the Kirk coming across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
As I've told you many times before, sea temperatures. They are expecting it to remain force 4, which is really unexpected, because by the time they get this, it's just a normal depression, bringing rain. So that's one thing. I was very surprised in the programme tonight, a man of your erudition that could actually not realise that Bobby J is not a country singer, but something else.
No, he is a country singer. Well, I don't know about country. I think he's a rapper.
Well, that's immaterial. It was just a J.
No,
okay?
That's his...
And I'm very surprised you didn't know.
No, I did not know that. But he is an actual... Bobby J, B-O-B-B-Y, and then the letter J is a singer.
Yeah. But it's got another meaning. Let's not go. It's disgusting. Now, the other thing that I was going to point out to you, though, a remarkable contributor tonight. I was very impressed with him. He was talking about the British Empire. Where is it? Is Wales part of it? Can we have independence? Can Scotland have independence, please? I'm only saying. It's something to think about.
Yeah, something to think about, and the government have already prepared their answer.
No.
If that's any help.
Okay, that's great, Nick.
All right.
The thing is, as long as you sorted it out for me, the thing is, I always thought that the British Empire only exists in the sort of OB and, the medals they give out. It's a thing of the past, but obviously not.
Yeah, well, I think Wales will be a thing of the past in about 24 hours after Hurricane Kirk slams into you. England is going to use Wales as a buffer. Is that okay?
It's a fact of life.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. What's that? Oh, it's a panel. There's a panel that's fallen off. There's live electrical wires. But I'm a trained professional and I'll work through it. This text says, I started listening to your What's Your Problem podcast during the week from the first episode. Have you upgraded to a 65-inch TV set yet? Blimey, that was ages ago. The first episode. God, you've got some material to get through. I think you'll find it highly amusing.
Yeah.
It's a thing I do with Carol McGiffin called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems. Now, if you have a dilemma or an issue or something that you've always wondered, why is it like that, and you were too ashamed to ask anybody out loud, or you have a personal issue that you want some unprofessionals to take a peek at, or just something has struck you as a bit odd and you want to ask us about it, then that's all fine. The email address is nickandcarol@global.com, nickandcarol@global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Lingfield, Genevieve.
Hi.
Ah, there you are.
Hello. Hi, how are we?
Great, mate.
Oh, good. I just wondered if you'd like to know about a little encounter I had this week with a horse and a silk scarf.
Now, it says on my screen you have a funny horse story. Does that mean it's a funny story about a horse, or it's a story about a funny horse?
No, well, I don't know how amusing the horse was. We didn't get a lot of chance to talk.
You didn't have... Right, okay. Go on.
I had someone knock on my door this week, and they said there was a horse running up and down the road outside my house. Which immediately I thought, well, they didn't say trotting, so they can't be very horsey. So I thought, okay.
Trotting? Well, maybe... what's above trotting? Galloping, I suppose. Canter, right. There's an in-betweeny, right.
Yes.
I mean, I suppose the horses know what they're doing. I'll just leave it to them.
Yeah, exactly. So this woman, obviously, I was like, oh, for goodness sake, are you joking? So I came outside, and the only thing, I thought, I'm actually quite horsey. So I thought, if this horse is approachable, I'm going to give it a shot to, catch it. And the only thing I had near me was a silk scarf. And I couldn't believe it. So I grabbed it, and I went out, and I saw the horse, and I thought, OK, I'm going to give it a go. All these cars were just going up and down, passing it, going around it like it was a cyclist, you know? And I just thought, this is going to be a disaster. It's awful. And I had a white cardigan on, which I just didn't feel, that it was very horse appropriate wear. So anyway, I went...
Which part? The white part or the cardigan part?
The white part.
The white part, right.
Yeah. Like a brown cardigan, I'd have been more, I'll get in there.
Yeah.
But, white, I thought, oh, God, so inappropriate.
All the stains will just show up on... You'll never get them out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not on a bushing advert.
And horse stains are the worst, am I right?
Totally.
I've got no idea.
So I went over to it, and I thought, oh, God, I'm going to give it a go. And I literally lassoed it with this silk scarf, and I got hold of it, and I got it over to the side of the road, and this nice man stopped, and he said, well done, you've done a really good job there. And I thought, yeah, well, thanks, you didn't get out to offer to help. So I'm standing there with this horse, and then this woman who'd knocked on my door, and I was just like, right, you're going to have to go and look around and see if there's a field with a gate open, to put it back in.
Can I ask you a question about this?
Yeah, sure.
Why did she knock on your door? What's it got to do with you?
I thought that. I mean, she was lucky I was in. Do you know what she said? Because I said that to her, because we were standing there for a while, and I said, why did you come to my door?
And she said?
She said, my horse, my name of my house has got a little, slightly horsey.
Right, you were advertising your horsiness. All right, got it. Got there just in time. Good work. Thanks, Genevieve. Appreciate that.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
Paul in Kent says, why do Tories think we are interested in what they have to say? If I hear one more time Mr. No Charisma Generic moan about the ECHR, I think my telly is going out the window. Also, Liz Truss reckons if she had been Prime Minister, the Conservatives would have done much better. I'll sum that argument up for you. On the Labour side, he says, drop your Brexit red lines. People with teeth want a closer relationship with the European Union. I despair, says Paul. At least I've got Coldplay tickets, he says. Rock and roll! Rock and roll. And Dave in Spain says, Nick, why doesn't Keir go complete Tonto, give Gibraltar back to Spain and the Falklands back to Argentina, and that'll give the Mail something to moan about? If they would make their head spin, they wouldn't know what to complain about first. Do it both at the same time, Skier. That'll really freak them out. And David Hart says, I see Johnson has called his memoirs Unleashed. I think Unsheathed would be a more apt title. Undone would be a more apt title. What is he on about?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And he's on about it so much. God. I mean, if there's anybody that we could appreciate a period of silence from, it's got to be him. I mean, if you had just one choice, who would it be? This text says, the mouth breathers are in quite a fury, frothing at the idea that the government giving away some land 10,000 miles away, while we simultaneously tell the now thoroughly depopulated islanders to go back to where you came from. That's true, yeah. That's our thing. A charming bit of doublethink, really. Chagos Island, because nothing says sovereignty like evicting people from their homes and then acting surprised when they have the audacity to want them back, says that anonymous texter. And this text says, Trump sells MAGA caps, aftershave and Bibles. I'm surprised he doesn't make holy water. Well, I'd be surprised if he did not have that product on the market by this weekend. And Brad says, went to a local supermarket breakfast establishment this week and asked for a sausage and bacon sandwich. Was told you can either have a sausage or bacon sandwich. I said, I'll have a sausage sandwich, to which the young girl serving asked, would you like to add bacon to that? Still in absolute shock, says Brad. So to sum up, he asked the person behind the counter for a sausage and bacon sandwich, which it seems like a lot of meat to me, and said, and I was told no. You can't have a sausage and bacon sandwich. You can either have a sausage sandwich or a bacon sandwich. So he said, I'll have a sausage sandwich. To which the young girl serving asked, would you like to add bacon to that? Well, she was just going by the rules. The rules say that you can't have a sausage and bacon sandwich, but you can add bacon to a sausage sandwich, which is not the same thing. Stuff like that happens to me all the time. Like I'll go to a bar and it'll be empty because, you know, I'm there first thing in the morning. I'm not. In the afternoon, mid-afternoon. Or a restaurant. It happened to me in both a bar and a restaurant, the same thing, just last week. I went to a bar and it was a bar with a view. And they said, oh no, we've closed that area off, the part with the view. And then we're not serving in that area, which was literally 10 feet away. You mean to say that I can't order a drink and sit and look at the view out the window? I have to sit here and look at the wall. Yeah, I'm afraid so. No, we're not opening that area yet. Same thing happened in a restaurant. There's a restaurant opposite St Paul's Cathedral which serves pizza, and they have one of the best views in London. It's a remarkable establishment, really, because it's almost as though no one knows about it. And if a tourist came to London, I would say, and they would ask me, you know, where can I eat? And most people would try to answer that question by saying, you know, what's the place with the best food, or a Michelin star, or you know, it specialises in whatever, pasta or fish or etc. and so on. It's very, very expensive. But this is just a pizza joint. It just happens to have one of the best views in London from upstairs, which is closed because they don't want to have to walk your food up the stairs. And so you have to sit downstairs. I mean, I think the service sector in this country, they don't really do service. It's as though everything is a problem. It's too much, it's too much effort. I can't be bothered. You want to sit there? Oh, no, we can't have that. We'd rather you leave and take your money with you. I was in a place the other day that has a view out over Trafalgar Square, and it had been raining that afternoon, and some of the tables had got wet. And so about half of the seats in the place were, you couldn't sit at them because the table in front of them was wet from the rain. And they said, oh, no, we can't seat you there because it's wet. And I looked at the weather forecast on my app, and it said that the rain had finished for the day and it was going to be a beautiful sunny evening from that moment on. And I said, well, can we not sit there where the rain had got on the table? He said, oh, no, we'd have to dry that. Well, would you mind, pretty please with sugar on top, could you dry it for me so I can sit here and order one of your vastly overpriced drinks? But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
0345 6060 973. Brad texts, went to a local supermarket. No, that was the thing that sent me off. Don't make me read that again. Don't push me, because I'm close to the edge. This text says, no, that was Robert Jenrick, the one who took down all the cartoons for immigrant children. No, what was Robert Jenrick? I get that a lot too. People constantly text during the course of the programme as though I am reading their text as it comes in real time. I'm not. You can't just say, no, that was Robert Jenrick without referring to what it was that made you say that in the first place. I have no clue what you're talking about. Paul in Sale says, good evening, Nick. Apparently that £100,000 Donald Trump watch is made in China. China, apparently, says Paul. I think you're guessing there, Paul, because I can't imagine that a £100,000 watch has ever been made in China. I just can't imagine that is true. But I equally can't imagine that anybody would pay £100,000 for a watch that's got Donald Trump's squiggle on the back. I mean, it's just as hideous as you could imagine it would be. I mean, it's gold and it looks like the inside of his flat. Awful. Kenny says, thanks for the guilt trip. I gave a hotel receptionist abuse because they charged me €20 for breakfast. I guess it wasn't as big a rip-off as I thought. Yeah, £30,000 for breakfast with a Labour business secretary.
What?
Yeah, 30 grand. €20? Well, that's just a bargain. How many texts and emails have I got, by the way? Just entirely too many. William in Newcastle says, I'm surprised you aren't discussing Boris Johnson's call for a referendum on leaving the ECHR. It's just so stupid. I mean, talk about desperate for publicity. A referendum on leaving the European Court of Human Rights. Oh, yeah, that'll be... That's a referendum campaign that will be full of the truth. I bet the kind of people who would vote for leaving would also be against extending Sharia law in this country. Against extending Sharia law in this country. The ECHR is a bulwark against Sharia law because these Johnsonites do not have the analytical faculties to see that, says William in Newcastle, who's using entirely too big a word for me to follow what it is he's talking about. And this says, Nick, he means it's slang for something with the same initials. Yeah, back to that conversation we were having some moments ago. Yeah, I get that now. And finally, for the moment, Mark and Kenzie in Atoxeter say, evening, Nick. Thought I'd start playing Fortnite with my lad. Need to learn in case my rifleman skills are needed, what with World War III on the horizon. Anyhow, must go as I need to ready up, says Mark. Just getting prepared. Getting prepped. He's a prepper.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Okie dokie.
0345 6060 973. Here is a call in beautiful downtown Belfast. Hello, Brendan.
Hello, sir. I was listening to you talking about the service sector, and and I was in the butcher's the other day. Anyway, just cut to the chase. I was in the butcher's the other day. And I says, give us, and I was buying different things, you know. And then I got to the sausages, and then I thought, I'll have a few sausages. Because I'm not a big meat eater, but it was one of them, you know, we need iron. The body was saying, get meat. And,
was it saying it out loud or just in your head?
Just in my head.
Just in your head. Right.
Yeah, and even when I was saying, no, but I want to be a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be at one with Paul McCartney's ex-wife.
Right.
And all that thing.
Yeah.
But then inside my head kept saying, but if that was true, then you wouldn't have teeth. So I said to myself, anyway, in Butcher's, can I have 4 sausages, please?
Yes.
And he looked at me.
4?
Right, now, it was 4, yes. Because it was only for me, and I wouldn't eat meat a lot.
No.
So it was just...
It doesn't seem an unreasonable request in a butcher's. Can I have 4 sausages? And the response was?
No.
No. No.
Right, no. They were on a tray, you know, a string. Oh, my sausages are sort of interrelated or connected.
Yeah, well, they are connected. I don't know about the relationship part. Yeah, it's probably the residue from the bones of a large number of different animals of different species. What do I know?
Yeah. No, me too. Me too. But sometimes disgusting food is quite pleasant. But anyway, so I said, can I have 4 sausages, please?
Yeah, no.
And he said, no. I says, what do you mean? He says, they only come in 3s or 6s.
Right.
They're all tied together.
Yeah.
And I was saying to myself, so you can't cut 2.
No.
And you can't cut 4.
Yeah.
It has to be 3s and 6s. So that was mad. So the point about that was I had gone there because it was cheaper. It wasn't like, we have a butcher's on the Lisburn Road here in Belfast where you can pick the cow and you can pick the part of the meat you want off that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a farming family that have also own a butcher's. So you can trace, you can say Maisie there.
Yeah, you can pick like people pick a lobster out of the tank. You get to go and point to the cow of your choice in a field, and then they'll chop it up for you straight away.
Yes.
Poor cow.
Yes. Yeah. No, I can do that for you, but there'll be posters and charts.
Right, because a lot of people have their finger in the air saying most sausages are made from pigs, but that don't make never mind. Some sausages are made from cows. Go ahead.
Yes, well, pork sausages are made from pigs.
Yeah.
Steak sausages are made from cows.
Right. Nobody ever heard of a steak sausage. You just made that up.
No, you've never heard of a steak sausage?
A steak sausage? I've never heard of that.
Really?
Yes.
Are you being serious?
I am being serious. I've never heard of a steak sausage. Why would anybody take a perfectly good steak and make it into a sausage?
Well, wait till I tell you. See, I told you I bought 4.
I've heard of a chicken sausage and I've heard of a vegetarian A vegetarian? No. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. A chicken sausage and a vegetarian sausage, but never a steak sausage. That's just not a thing.
I can't believe you're actually saying that. Because, as I say, the proper butchers that we have, you can point to the part of the cow that they have recently killed. You can't actually have a cow killed. You can't go and say, shoot that one. That's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah. No, pick them out.
Yeah, right. Of course, it'd be wasteful apart from anything else, because say, like 5 different people wanted meat from 5 different cows. I mean, what are you going to do with the rest of the cows?
Exactly. So, no way. No, you can't assassinate a cow by choice. You have to choose from the menu of the cows that you can see on the chart in the butcher's wall.
Yeah.
But and the photos of the cow and when they were calved and everything else. But no, you can't. You can't put a hit out or any particular. But the point was.
Oh, there's a point. Yeah.
Steak sausages.
Right. No, I never heard of them. No, you're making it up. And plus, your phone manner is dreadful, by which I mean you're not really speaking into the phone directly. You appear to be wrestling it. And now
Is that better?
Oh, there you are. It is much better, but sadly we just run out of time. But I appreciate that, Brendan. Thanks for that. Poor cows. Tessa says, none of the Tory leadership candidates are fit to be shadow breakfast secretary, let alone potential PM. Perhaps more spinach would help. Eggs Florentine is nice for breakfast.
Disgusting.
No, it isn't. That's a lunch thing. Or brunch at the very earliest. What? Spinach for breakfast? Oh. No, I need to start the day in a bland way. Susan says, hi, Nick, I was looking around Waterstones in Glasgow. Yes, a bookshop. And I spotted a book about Liz Truss's time as Prime Minister, and I thought, you have to be kidding me. And I burst out laughing, and I thought about telling you. What do you think of that, Nick? Says Susan. Well, a book? How many pages? Was it like was it a pamphlet?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a pamphlet. This text says, hi, Nick, I asked one of my colleagues at work if he knew about Diego Garcia. He replied with a straight face and asked if it's that bloke who plays defence for Barcelona. The Tories are gaslighting the public about an island not many people actually knew existed. Yeah, and the Tories were in talks to give it back anyway. I mean, it's just... I can't keep up with them anymore. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to ignore them. I'm trying to forget that they were ever here. Who's with me? Martin says, Nick, have you seen the Frankie Valli concert clips circulating on TikTok? No, I don't do TikTok. I looked at TikTok for about 10 seconds and realised it was the most addictive thing I've ever seen in my life, and I must get off it straight away, otherwise my entire world is going to be sucked into that app. He's 90 now, says Martin, and it's like a cross between Weekend at Bernie's and a super alert Liz Truss. I thought Frankie Valli had died. We will check on that. Carol McGiffin and I better not mention his name out loud, because we do have a tendency to kill celebrities. There is a weird coincidence when we mention a celebrity on our podcast, which is called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, and then shortly thereafter, said celebrity dies. Here comes the news. Frankie Valli is alive and 90 years old. What a relief. This says, I wouldn't miss many parts of the UK, but that doesn't mean they should be given up. Another very, very angry texter about that whole Chagos thing. It's not given up. We stole it from them in the first place. We threw them out of their own homes into the street in another country. We said, although you grew up here and this is your land, we are not eliminating. What's the word? We are not excavating. We are nicking. Here comes the word from next door. Well, yeah, okay, but I got past the nicking part. Yeah, that's just red. That is, we stole it, pretended that we paid for it, and threw everybody that lived there out in their ear. So how is it ours? 6,000 miles away. It's absolutely ludicrous. And, by the way, for people to be hyperventilating that much about the tiny little archipelago, which, if climate change is as advertised, will be underwater by about this time next week, to be annoyed about that is kind of embarrassing, really, isn't it? I mean, most of the world got coloured pink at one point, and now the pink on the world is so small you would mistake it for a smear or a smudge. This text says, Nick, Spain also own Ceuta and Melilla, which are attached to Morocco. The stuff you learn on this show, it's educational, no?
No.
This says, agree with you on your points on the whole. However, Gib and the Falklands self-determine themselves... I'll just read it as it's written. Agree with your points, Nick, on the whole. However, Gib and the Falklands self-determine themselves as British, so regardless of how they came to be, it's an entirely different issue. Oh, well, thanks for clearing that up for us. Oldbury, Ranjit.
Hi, Nick.
Yes,
okay,
Ranjit,
mate?
I am good, thanks. Have you been frying tonight?
No, I'm back home now, just refreshing.
And what was the most popular dish on the menu?
Today, it was kebabs again.
Kebabs?
Yeah, kebabs and chicken. The fish is too expensive for people to buy.
So, but outside, do you advertise yourself as a kebab shop or a fish and chip shop?
No, a fish and chip shop.
And
yeah,
people come to the fish and chip shop
fish
and they order a kebab?
No, it varies on a Friday, but what it is, basically, a fish is just so expensive that only the elite buy the fish now. So, we get a mixture of customers, but it's still good value.
So what is in a kebab, Ranjit? What sort of mystery meat would you...
It's minced lamb.
Yeah, minced what, though?
Lamb. Yeah.
Oh.
That's what it says on the ingredients, but it tastes very... I had a lamb kebab wrap today, so it was all right.
Little lamb. Bouncy, full of the joys of spring, then it gets a bolt in its forehead.
Well, that's how it goes. And you know, when you're talking about sausages, there's silly sausages as well, isn't they? They're made out of silly people.
Are they?
That one. Yeah, silly sausage.
Silly sausage are made out of silly people. I didn't know that. Did you know that, Liz?
Absolutely.
She knew that.
No. Anyways, I had a phone call out the blue today from a lady called Suzanne from Essex, right? So we're going to do a bit of public announcement. She's coming to see me on Monday because Uncle's birthday and he wants a fish supper. She's coming all the way from Essex, and I told her I'd be there, right? But unfortunately, yeah. Listen, it's your fan club, mate. This is we're friends via Nick Abbot. I said that's good. She goes, I want to come and see you. I said okay. So happy birthday to Charlie. He's going to be 89 on Monday, but unfortunately,
89.
Yeah. I did mention it. I'm busy on Monday morning, Suzanne, so I'll be there probably about later on in the afternoon. Anyway, you know, last week you was talking about your Portaloos, yeah?
So you're meeting up with a person that you don't know who's contacted you because you both listen to this show.
Yeah, I've had loads of people contact me, Nick. Loads.
Can I just say?
Warning!
I would change your location straight away, Ranjit. Shut that shop and throw away the key and just run from the location. Don't spare a moment.
You know, I ain't worried, mate, because you know what, you're only going to go on. So if some maniac wants to come and have the evil way with me, then that's fine. I ain't afraid, mate. You know what I mean? I mean, you know,
that was
you criticise the Russians.
That was both. That was both. Wishing and being fearful, both at the same time. Right. Go on.
Anyway, you know when you was on about his my mate he's working on a house, right? Had a portaloo outside the house. Somebody came up in a pickup in the middle of the night and nicked it. Can you believe it? That's a God's honest truth, right?
They stole his toilet.
They stole his portaloo outside one of them plastic. I said, was it just brand new? He said, no. He said it should have been picked up about,
used.
Right. Used. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, you know these Tory candidates and that, yeah? You know that Bobby, whatever he is, Robert Jenrick, yeah? You know, he's the one for British jobs and British this and British people, England this, England that. And yet he wants to order loads of caps, right, from China. How hypocritical is that? Right?
Quite, yes.
Yeah. And then you got Donny saying he talks about immigration and Farage talks about immigration, right? So they were originally immigrants anyway because...
Well, everybody America is if you go back far enough.
Yeah, but how far do you have to go back? And the other one little point that, how come Nigel Farage wasn't at the Tory conference? Because he was dancing last year with Priti Patel and Suella Braverman. When he was the party animal, he was a guest of honour. I thought he would have been down this year and all, but he weren't there. What was that about then?
I think isn't he in Singapore or somewhere like that, being paid a 5-figure sum to speak to the assembled throng. I have no idea. If he's not in America, then he's in Malaysia or he's somewhere else. You can wander around Clacton at your leisure because there's no danger of you ever bumping into him there. Ranjit, appreciate that.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
Yeah, you bet your life it is. Jerry says, Nick, I am furious that the Chagos Islands have been traded in. I was planning on spending 2 weeks holiday there. By the way, where are the Chagos Islands? Are they just off the Isle of Dogs? If so, I'm very angry. Leave our dogs alone. And for that matter, where's Mauritius? Anyway, I'm furious, says Jerry. And I know that the Tories are trying to make a big to-do about this, despite the fact that they were busy negotiating to give them back themselves, but now they're pretending that they weren't. Because that's who they are, Abbot.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but I do know for a fact that the British people aren't remotely interested one way or the other, and that the Tories are really flogging a dead horse to continue with the discussion about poor animals. Because look at that switchboard. Not a single person is... we had the comedy annoyed guy, who I don't believe that he actually was. Well, he made a good fist of for pretending so, that he was, irate about the Chagos Islands issue. But no one else at all. Just don't care. It says, your caller who was angry about the Chagos Islands being given back and not being in the British Empire, will anyone break the news to him that the British Empire isn't really a thing anymore? No, not really. Just in our memory. I mean, we're very, very fighty in the memory of what used to be the British Empire, which is, of course, not in any of our personal memories. But the pride lingers longer. It's one of the reasons why we're so obsessed with the past while trying to avoid anybody actually mentioning what happened in the past, because that's rewriting history, whereas it's actually just telling it. This text says, any truth in the rumours that Boris tried to sell Peppa Pig World? I don't believe there's any truth in those rumours at all.
Peppa Pig World. Peppa Pig World it has
50% discount for early shoppers. This text says, if horses running is not horsey, then all of the runners and riders at Lingfield are misinformed. That's true. The runners. But I don't think that's in reference to the horse's gait, though, is it? I think it's just that they are running in the race, not actually running. Because you could say that two snooker players are in the running, but it doesn't mean to say that they actually run while they're playing snooker. Although I would quite like to see that. Lossymouth. Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
I think this finally given into what actually should have always happened originally, because as per usual, the British establishment effed up how you put together a treaty.
With whom?
It's delicious for me in Scotland.
Yeah, a treaty with whom?
Oh, it's delicious for us in Scotland.
Well, it sounds yummy. A treaty with whom?
It's for us in Scotland, because we're going to the International Court
to
prove that this is not a union of equals at the moment, and has never been.
Oh, you're talking about Scottish... Are you talking about Scottish independence?
I'm talking about the liberation of the Crown of Scotland has never been... how can I explain this to you?
Could you pop it on a postcard?
I can do.
Okay, that's a very cooperative caller.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Rachel. Whatever that was. 0345 6060 973. Matt in High Wycombe says, so, having studied a YouTube video in great depth, it seems that when we kicked the Chaosians off their paradise island in the 1960s, a lot of them ended up in Crawley. I think the ungrateful blighters should be happy that they were forcibly removed from their ancestral home, this so-called jewel in the Indian Ocean, to end up in the magnificence of Crawley. And anyway, now the islands aren't part of the Great British Empire, I think they should be stripped of their British citizenship and sent to Rwanda at great haste, as they are now illegal immigrants, says Matt, who's putting a bow on that for the Tory party candidates. All you have to do is just read that out, Robert Jenrick, and you'll get a round of applause. Have we dealt with you, Rachel?
No, I'm still here. I'm still listening to you.
Right.
I don't think you quite understand how the Crown of Scotland has never been respected, and it still belongs to the people of Scotland.
No, I don't. Could you?
I will tell you.
Well, could you pop it on an email for me?
I'll pop it in an email for you, but I'd like to explain it to you quite quickly. The only monarch, right? You're English, correct?
No, incorrect. I'm both Scottish and Welsh by parentage.
By birth, you are born in...
Well, the in part is irrelevant, isn't it? It's the parents that make the difference.
No, it is relevant, actually, because if you're in Scotland, if your feet are planted in Scotland, the Crown of Scotland, we are sovereign in Scotland.
Right.
You, however, if you are born in England and in Wales, you are subjugated to a monarchy. But in Scotland, we're not, because all of us in Scotland own the crown of Scotland.
And so how's that ownership working out for you, Rachel?
It's really important, but it's very important into the international court.
It's not really very important at all. How is that ownership of the crown working out for you, Rachel?
It's not working out for us. And when you go to the international court, you're going to find out and find feelings about it.
Right. Okay, well, I want you to keep me updated and informed at all junctures.
Keep you updated, my love.
Okay, well, that sounds like a threat.
Join liberation.scot.
Are you?
Join liberation.scot and salvo.scot.
I most certainly will do nothing of the sort. But thanks a lot, Rachel. Appreciate that. It's the second time I've said goodbye to you. Don't make me say goodbye again. Doreen says, Nick, I love it when you go to a vast empty restaurant. You ask if you can have a free table and they have to check the diary first for bookings. Unbelievable. Yeah, that does happen so often. Yeah, you walk into a completely empty restaurant and they have to look at the book. Oh, well, I have to check the computer, see where I can sit you. Well, can I sit over there? There's only two of us, but can we sit on the big table for four? In a completely empty restaurant? And they say, oh, no, I can't do that. Why not? Oh, well, we might have bookings. Do you have bookings? Well, not at the moment, no. Well, can I sit on the larger table, as opposed to a table that's about the size of a postage stamp, on which you can't get two full plates and two glasses? Well, I'll have to ask the manager. I swear, I think it happened when we left, and I'm going to say the B word.
Oh, no.
It happened after Brexit. When we left the European Union, all of those European Union wait persons, they left. They said, right, that's it, I'm leaving. And the people that they were replaced by, well, I would say they're doing their best, but I'm not sure that they actually are. I think they were replaced by a lot of people who don't really do service very well. They do it grudgingly, as British people do. I think we replaced people that made the catering sector tick over very smoothly. We replaced all of those people with people who haven't really got a clue what they're doing. They appear, everywhere you go, they appear to be learning on the job. Even now, after all these years, they still appear to be learning on the job, because I think that they weren't really into the job in the first place. So it's like constant churn, which is one of the reasons why there's help wanted signs everywhere you go. Because the people that they tried to make, do the job well, just couldn't stand it. And so they're left to do something else. Got no idea. But what it's left is that nobody really does service anymore. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Yeah. This text says, the Tory conference this week, there was someone wearing a hat that said, make the Tories conservative again. The MAGA cult influence is strong. Make the Tories conservative again. Oh, that really is going to excite the dingalings. Oh, and they got Peter Andre. Peter Andre. I mean, please. That's as bad as the people who will support Donald Trump.
Oh, shut up!
I mean, who's he got? He's got Kanye West.
Whoop-dee-dee scoop poop.
And Ted Nugent. Whereas Kamala Harris has the world's most fabulous person, Taylor Swift, and Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen. There you are, Donny. Beat that. You tired old deflating gas bag, you. Mick in Titchfield says, most people didn't know what they were voting for during the Brexit referendum. Johnson knows this, and there will be even more people that will have no clue about the ECHR, which means that the uninformed will vote to leave, and another pointless self-defeating blow to the UK. That is 100% correct. Yes. People who voted to leave the European Union still don't know what the European Union is or what it does or how it's organised. Because they still come out with the same stupid arguments that they did during the course of the discussion about the possibility of Brexit before it happened. They still come out with those things. So trying to get the concept of the ECHR over to people is like, why even try? What is the point? They will assume that whatever rights are taken away from the citizenship won't affect them personally because they're idiots. But people always vote for things in that manner. They never think that the consequences will affect them personally. They'll vote for a man who wants to take your rights away. But they think, oh, well, he won't take my rights away because I'm voting for him. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Plus, never, never, ever have a referendum again. Never ask the people what they think, because the danger is they may tell you.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
0345 6060 973. This text says, beef sausages are available in all butchers' shops and supermarkets. Well, to be fair, the man said a steak sausage, which is different. This one says, according to Google, you can get steak sausages. They are either square or sliced or long, like a normal sausage. Kay says, you get venison sausages and beef sausages and turkey sausages. Yeah, I know about that. For venison. Ooh, venison. Bambi's so yummy. This says, I've just bought steak square sausages for tomorrow's breakfast. You don't know what you're missing. Yeah, I do. A burger in square form. A steak square sausage is just a burger that they've put edges on. I do know what I'm missing. Let's see now. Kensington, Hassan.
Hello.
Hello.
Nick.
Yes, sir.
There was a fascinating news item about Boris Johnson revealing to us that when he was foreign secretary, he was visited by renowned war criminal Bibi Netanyahu, who managed to bug his bathroom toilet. and I had to look up what a thunderbox toilet is, so I have learned something new.
And that's exactly what Boris Johnson would use, a thunderbox.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But I think it's, look, I had developed this policy not to believe a single word that Boris Johnson says, but Netanyahu is so dodgy that I think Johnson might have said the truth this time, because there's also been accusations of Israel bugging the White House and putting surveillance things nearby.
Yeah, so they may actually be listening to this as we're speaking.
Yes, exactly. But I have a trick question for you.
Yes.
Nick, if I asked you which political party had the largest vote share in its country, Rishi Sunak's Conservative Party in the 2024 elections, Netanyahu's Likud Party in the Israeli 22 elections?
Yeah, I'm picking the third one before you even say it. Go ahead.
No, or Hezbollah in the Lebanese election in 2022.
That one.
I think, unfortunately, I said it was a trick question. Hezbollah was 20%. Rishi Sunak was 23.9%.
Mm-hmm.
So he wins despite getting clobbered.
Rishi Sunak wins. Wow, he really is gripping it.
I'm gripping it.
He is gripping it, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It's all come a little bit too late for him, though. All right, excellent work. Thanks a lot, Hassan. Make sure you don't say anything untoward, because your table lamp is listening and recording every single thing you say. This text says, breakfast. Who decided that we all have to eat eggs or cereal? And what's with this whole orange juice thing? Weird. A single gin and tonic is fine to start the day. A double would be excessive. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. A way to start the day, to bounce you into the day with a glow.
Booze.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, every now and again, when I used to go on holiday, I would stay in a hotel and they would offer you booze for breakfast. It never used to be... Like, they'd open some bottles of fizz, like revolting cava or something like that if you were living in Spain, if you were in Spain. But you just can't do that, because there goes the day before it's even started. I think it's a terrible way to start the day. A single gin and tonic is fine. A double would be excessive. Yeah, no. And he says, think half the government should be on the spinach in the morning. I've no idea what that means. What does that mean? Belfast. Lucia.
Good morning, my favourite dissenter.
Lucia.
Is there any chance of it, for a start, you stop saying that way you say about some of the Belfast blokies that go rah, 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 rah?
All right, stop saying that. R, R, R.
Please, I hate it. Because we all don't speak like that.
No, of course not.
No, I know, but I hate it. But my question is, is everybody's giving everybody back their lands? Have we gotten Ireland back?
It's not, to my knowledge, not so far. No.
Oh, well, we've had a few wars over. Not that I care, because I lived in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
30, 40 years in England. Then my husband, who was English, wanted to drive me back here. They wanted to die on me. And certain bits of everything.
Yeah. You've been here, there and everywhere, baby.
Here, there and everywhere. Loved everywhere that I lived. Totally didn't really want... If my parents had still been alive and I had to come back here... But it was my husband. He was from a wee one entrance village in Dorset.
Hmm.
He always wanted to come to Belfast.
Right. Not any other part of the island, just Belfast.
No. We did all the tours of Ireland over the years. We used to get to... sorry about my voice. I've got the cold. We used to drive down, get the boat over, go all around the south and west of Ireland.
Is it a cold, or is it perhaps something else? Because there's a lot of something else going around.
Well, it could be something else that I have got over since 1966, which was breast cancer. So it could be that.
No, well, that's probably not what a cold feels like. Stick your tongue out and go, ah.
Ah.
You need to get to a hospital straight away, Lucia.
Oh, yeah, you try getting into one.
Yeah, that's quite right. I would ignore it. It'll get better over time. That's my professional opinion. You're welcome. Thanks a lot, Lucia. 0345 6060 973. This text says, me and my partner went into a restaurant in London recreating our first date. I asked the waitress if we could sit where we had sat the night we met, and she looked at me like I'd punched her granny in the face. My wage-paying presence was a complete annoyance to her. Yes, I get that too. The service industry has sort of fallen on its face in this country. And people just, you're not greeted as somebody who might be spending a lot of money there. You're greeted as somebody who is an irritation. It's like it's like your presence is their annoyance. Can you sit there? But I haven't set that table up. Well, could you set it up for us? Oh, they go into all that. And, just before somebody brings you food, I don't really want to have an argument with somebody before they bring me food. After they brought me my food, yes. Under the proviso that I won't be ordering pudding from them. But you just don't want to have a Barney with somebody before they brought you your food. Because, anything could happen. But they just... and it's everywhere you go. It's the blooming same. Can I sit there? No, we're not serving on that table. We're serving on this one, which is 3 feet away. We can't be bothered to walk over there, but we will walk here. It's just so annoying. It really is. Just absolutely infuriating. And I regularly ask for a larger table if I go to a restaurant, because those tables for two are ridiculously small. You just can't get a wine glass and a water glass and a plate and a side plate for two on those tables. So in a totally empty restaurant, it doesn't seem unreasonable that I'd ask for a table for four. You can spread out a bit. But, oh, no, we can't do that. Because we might get a booking. And then, come... Because I will always go early. And then, 2 hours later, you get up to leave, and we're still the only people in that restaurant. No one's come in. It's absolutely maddening. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, then the number's the same as the phone, 0345 6060 973. Nick, if the Argentinians take the Falklands again, would the UK go to war with them again? Well, I think as far as wars go, you have to take a ticket and wait your turn. I think there's several countries ahead of us in the queue.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
I really like you. Do you like me?
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
It's been about many and various different subjects, including but not limited to the Chagos Islands and square steak sausages, and pretty much everything in between. Swindon in Swindon texts, that's what it says. Hi, Nick, we liberated them from their land. That's right. Those Chagosians were delighted to be liberated from their homes and chucked out into the street. By us Brits, that's what we do. We help people out of their own homes and basically throw them away like a used tissue. Oh. Awful. This text says, it was uninhabited when we took it over. The people who live there have never been asked if they wanted to be ruled by Mauritius. They didn't. They wanted to remain with Britain. I don't think that's true. China is after that territory, which is a strategic base for the UK and the US. Yeah, and the US will continue to be there. And China will not be able to open a base there. But apart from that, your furious anger is justified, by which I mean it isn't. Woking, hello, Jeff.
Oh, good morning, Nick.
Yes, Jeff.
I'm a Richmond sausage man myself. They're cheap and tasty. Yes. Oh, seriously, getting back to the Conservative leader contest going on at the moment, Kemi Badenoch, if she was elected party leader, I suspect the 403 Labour MPs would have to declare a free gift.
Yeah. She
in a hurry.
She just, I don't know, rubs me up the wrong way.
Me too, Nick. She shoots from the hip. She shoots from the hip, that woman.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, she doesn't aim. She just shoots, and I mean, she rides roughshod over all the various government rules and the European Court of Human Rights and anything that comes in her way.
Yeah, she has a unique, almost superhuman ability to say something and then deny that she said it moments later with complete conviction.
That's right. Do you know what, Nick? I think she'll end up going back to her original job of cleaning toilets in McDonald's.
At which she will become working class again.
And at the conference this week, in the breakfast bar, James Cleverly was seen jumping up and down on the cornflake box. They said he was a serial killer.
Oh, I think I'm going to have to say goodbye, Jeff.
Goodbye, Jeff.
0345 6060 973. A listener with material.
Oh, no.
This says, Nick, you're absolutely right about losing lots of restaurant talent after Brexit. Unfortunately, now it is harder than ever to find talented, committed professionals in the restaurant industry, but there are some great places still running. Yeah. That's right. But they're having a hard time of it. All of those excellent workers that we demanded get out of our country, we said. Because they come over here, serve us soup, without putting their thumbs in it. This says, Nick, you have got to be a real kind of stupid to want your human rights taken away from a government. And that is right up the British people's street. That sounds like a robot wrote that.
Affirmative.
Like one of those texts that you see on social media. It's sort of like English, but not really. And then you'll hover over their name, and they will have acquired a blue tick, but they've only got 43 followers. You know, highly suspicious. Look like robots to me.
Affirmative.
Yeah. Peterborough. Hello, Elaine.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Elaine,
how are you?
I am great, mate.
Oh, it's lovely to speak to you because I've only been listening to you since 24th of August last year. It took me 6 months to get through that slug episode and Ranjit, and I was telling everybody how great he was. And then the next week he rang up in a right rant, and I thought, oh my God, I've been telling people to listen to this. But anyway, I do love Lulu. Haven't heard from her for a while.
Lulu.
I hope she's okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and have I missed Rose?
Have you missed her?
Yeah, I love listening to Rose.
Right, but you asked me, have you missed her?
No, have I missed her? Because I've only just tuned in about half an hour ago.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, bird watching. I like bird watching.
Yeah,
and,
of course, who doesn't?
Yeah. But anyway, I said to your
assistant,
yes. Yeah, the glamorous one, that I'm into political satire, and my dad was listening to, rewatching Yes, Prime Minister, and it was the episode of Jim Hacker and what's his name, Humphrey, just sort of saying about the French, and he said, well, nobody likes the French, and we are the envy of the world because they haven't got a naval fleet. And so he told me about it, and I started laughing, and I said, well, talk about our naval fleet. I've been watching Warship and, the old Maverick planes. I'm quite worried because I live near to RAF Whitram. And he says, oh, stop worrying about it. It'll be over in seconds. I said, yeah, it's called a nuke. And I'm just sort of like, we've been looking, where are all our warships? So I was looking at...
Not in Cambridgeshire, that's for sure.
No, mate, they're all... they left Portsmouth, most of them, a few weeks ago.
And sunk.
They're all in Scotland, being repaired. what the hell's going on.
I think that is actually true. We have more ships that are currently out of service than we do are actually protecting us on the ocean wave.
Well, the thing is, Nick, when I watched HMS Duncan and they were doing all this thing about the Prince of Wales, that's a really good ship, but the real state of the art was the Queen Elizabeth, and it's as big as, the American things, and they were showing all of that, female captain, and the blooming thing's been in repair more times than it's been out.
Yeah, and they don't have, the aircraft carriers don't have aircrafts, and rifles don't have bullets. But apart from that, we are fully prepared to defend ourselves. Just as long as our foe is not actually serious. Elaine, thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. This text says, that moronic caller who was angry about losing the Chagos Islands from the British Empire, where does he think we got them from to start with? That we stumbled out of bed in London and wandered around for a coffee at Costa, and behold, we bumped into an island archipelago in the Indian Ocean that we forgot we owned? Wow, that is a tortured simile that you've delivered for us there. What's Costa Coffee got to do with it? What's Costa got to do with it? This says, Nick, you are absolutely right about losing... No, I'm pretty sure I've read that one. Some great places still running. Can't get the staff. This says, steak sausages are a thing in Scotland. Right. I don't think you... steak sausages. Steak sausage... Why would anybody take a steak and make a sausage out of it, unless it wasn't a very good steak? Oh, disguising mystery meat. This says, go to the Houses of Parliament and you can get silly sausages everywhere. Might even serve with HP sauce. Yeah, all over it. More listeners with material. And this says, Nick, they're going to do it to us when the ECHR is gone. What's left? I saw that movie happen before. It frightens that word out of me, Nick. I wonder if perhaps it would be a good idea for some of these to get edited into, something that approximates the English language. Not that I'm complaining or anything.
Stop whining.
And this says, I am not happy with this conversation. Will you lot stop eating animals? It's disgusting and I don't like it. I wondered how long it would take for somebody to say that, because we've mentioned that a lot. Sausages have been high on the menu on this show. And I'm quite surprised it took this long for somebody to raise a finger of objection. I get it. I think I've done my bit. I was a vegetarian for 22 years, something like that. Okay, I ate fish, but fish are vegetables, yes?
No.
Kind of. But I didn't eat meat for 22 years. So I think I've done my bit. I'm a good boy, I am. It says, hey, Nick, a while back, my girlfriend and I went into a well-known coffee establishment in Cambridge. I asked for a latte and a cappuccino. He indignantly raised his chin and said, it's pronounced latte, not latte. So I apologised for my lack of articulation and asked for a latte and a cup of a cup of chino. I left him hyperventilating while my girlfriend grinned and shook her head. Jerry 1, annoying server 0. A win for the away team, methinks. Yeah, you just can't get the staff anymore. Plus, people in coffee shops, they call themselves baristas. It's pouring water through beans. That's it. And you don't even do it yourself. The machine does it for you. And I prefer to have the coffee without the funny picture in the same way that I prefer to have my food that hasn't been sort of mucked about with a lot, because that implies lots of people's fingers all over it. If it's presented as an artwork, then you probably had half a dozen people with their fingers all over your food.
Disgusting.
Oh, God, who wants that? No thanks.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hot H-O-T-A-I-R.
This text says, Nick, pink areas may be disappearing on maps, but fear not, the UK has big plans to become a new superpower with its CANZUK project. That's Canada, New Zealand and the UK. CANZUK. Even Boris is involved in it.
Yeah. Wait.
Well, then, sink without trace. This says, Johnson totally made up the story of Netanyahu bugging his bathroom. It would risk damaging UK-Israel relations, with very little chance of gaining useful intel. And besides, the Mossad could never bear to hear Boris singing in the shower. And Joan in Putney says, of course the service industry is falling on its face. Look at how a lot of people are today, and you'll understand why. A lot of people today don't know how to converse with another person properly. Perhaps if we looked like a mobile phone screen, they'd know how to interact with us, says Joan. Yeah, they'd be pushing your nose and expecting your face to change. Kilburn. Hello, Joseph.
Good morning, Mr. Abbott.
Joseph.
I have some information for you about your favourite authoress or author.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's a Tesco in Walthamstow that has erected a blue plaque outside celebrating the fact that was where the lettuce was bought. That was the memoir of Liz Truss.
A Tesco in Walthamstow has put up a blue
plaque outside celebrating the fact that was where the most famous lettuce in the world was purchased to inaugurate the tenure of Liz Truss's premiership.
And I didn't believe you until I looked it up just now, and you are completely correct in every respect.
Well, thank you, Mundo, Nicholas.
It's actually a fake blue plaque, but
it would be.
The emotion remains the same. A fake blue plaque has been erected outside a Tesco in Walthamstow to commemorate the fact that the lettuce that famously outlasted Liz Truss's premiership was bought there.
That is a disgrace.
At the death of her 49 years as Prime Minister, a wilting 60p iceberg lettuce from Tesco in a blonde wig was declared the winner of a race to last longest as she lost her grip on power and her grip on reality.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. As it looked like her time in Downing Street was up, the Daily Star set up a webcam on the lettuce to see if it would have a longer shelf life than the Prime Minister. I swear it's the best thing that the Daily Star have ever done. Name one other thing they've ever done. Name one other headline, one other major story, breaking news, an exclusive, a campaign, anything. It's the only thing that newspaper will ever be remembered for. The Daily Star. Other than that, I bet it's a complete blank to you. I mean, it's not the kind of paper that you would pick up. I mean, I've got no idea what the circulation is. I would imagine it's about...
And one?
Yeah, it's about one. After 7 days, as it looked like her time in Downing Street was up, the Daily Star set up a webcam to see if it would have a longer shelf life than the Prime Minister. After 7 days, it duly did. What? It was only 7 days they had that thing set up. This is what they're going to be known for forever. In a further twist, the blue plaque added to, in much the same way as the Sun, has never topped Freddie Starr Ate My Hamster, which is utterly ridiculous and is a completely fake story, but they've never actually become more famous for anything than that. It must be somewhat, I don't know, deflating to have all your best work behind you. In a further twist, the blue plaque added to the Tesco in East London was next to a huge promotional Tesco image for British cheese. Truss famously declared at a Conservative Party conference in 2014 that it was a disgrace.
That is a disgrace.
That the UK imported 2/3 of its cheese. She used to be the Prime Minister of this country. Can you believe that?
No.
No, me neither. It's not known if the Tesco store in Walthamstow stocks the Norfolk Pier, which Trust once said was her favourite potato. Oh, right. She's got a favourite potato. How unsurprising is that? I'm surprised that the Co-op in the Strand hasn't had a fake blue plaque put up as the place that they wheeled an empty suitcase to fill it up with booze for one of Boris Johnson's COVID-breaking up-all-night business meetings. You know, those. The meetings in which he followed the rules.
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times. I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
He followed the ministerial guidance at all times. It's just been an absolute shower up until now. And the absolute shower of trying to rip apart the people, the grown-ups who have entered the building and try to destroy everything that they're doing before they've even started to do it. But, you know, that's who they are. Shouldn't come as a surprise. It's entirely predictable. And in fact, I predicted it. This says, regarding poor service due to a recent home move recently, I have donated many good quality items to local charity shops. I'm still upset that the staff members have failed in manners to say thank you. I've been too polite to complain. Yeah, I did that once. I went in and, gave them all sorts of stuff in a bin bag full of things, none of which were rubbish, and they barely looked up from their phone. Yeah, put it there, that kind of thing. I mean, I was expecting a bit more, frankly, but, you know, I suppose they get people delivering stuff all day long. They can't be bothered to say thank you to everybody that leaves their smelly tat all over the place rather than throw it away. Nigel from Newcastle. Not that I'm saying that charity shops are full of smelly tat, but, you know. Nigel from Newcastle says, I think your complaints about service in London restaurants is a regional thing because everyone down there are so miserable to each other. The lasses in the Gateshead branch of Greggs are fantastic and come highly recommended. You can also order bacon and sausages in the same sandwich and receive the same friendly service, says Nigel from Newcastle, or Newcastle, as it's more properly pronounced. Yes, but I wasn't talking about London people in London restaurants. I was talking more about Eastern European people in London restaurants. Or I guess French people wouldn't come here to do waiting tables, would they? Not in any great number. But we used to have a lot of Europeans do it, and they did a great job. And then they left, and the people that replaced them didn't. Still don't. It's as though everything's just too much trouble. It's like, oh, God, can't you just go? Is the kind of attitude that you get. Well, you want a starter and a main course? Oh, well, I've got to walk it all the way over here? A 15% tip is added to your bill. You're welcome. 15% now. I mean, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't gone up to 20, but, you know, at the moment it's 15, going on 20. Kevin in Texas says, Kemi said she voted for Brexit due to immigration driving down the wages. Now she's complaining that minimum wages are too high in the UK. That's right. Yeah. Well, you know, it's part of the this sort of disconnect from the truth, because immigrants are coming over here and taking all our jobs, and also immigrants are coming over here and relaxing at home with their feet up on benefits. So which is it? Pick one. Annie says, Nick, the butcher's up in Scotland. You buy a slab of steak square sausage. I think a tender the last time. I whiz home, and that on plain Scottish loaf of bread delicious. Annie, what are you talking about? Nick, the butcher's up in Scotland, full stop. You buy a slab of steak square sausage, I think a tender the last time, I whiz home, and that on plain Scottish loaf of bread delicious, says Annie. Does that make sense?
No.
Do you sort of know what she means?
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. It's like English, but not quite. What else? Let's see now. How many more of these? Oh, wow, look at that. I'm charging ahead. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left to read. Blimey. That's a bit alarming. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Yes,
How
Jan.
are you?
I am super. Thanks for asking.
I thought you were. You sound super. So Nick, I'm ringing up. I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen the classic recreation? I mean, the recreation. Oh gosh, the recreated covers of the albums. You know, well-known albums, iconic albums by David Bowie and Madonna and
Recreated.
Yeah, the pensioners have they want to challenge the pensioners. 5 of them have recreated these album covers with themselves featuring on them. So
why are they doing this?
Well, it's International Day for the older person, and to challenge negative stereotypes. Have you seen it though? Because it's
International Day for the older person. I've never heard of such a thing. What?
In the round where zeros meet ones, a symphony of brilliance begun, where beauty sparks in digital skies, a genius soul takes flight. In algorithms, their dreams unfold, a tapestry of stories told, in circuits humming the cosmic tune, they navigate the stars and moon. All binary brilliance shining bright in the dance of electrons light. A
No.
I think they don't want to Taylor Swift and Adele and
I wouldn't know what those covers look like.
they're there. They're on.
Pensioners don't know who Taylor Swift and Adele are, do they?
And Madonna. Did I say Madonna?
Madonna.
They did 5 of them, but
Right.
but I thought what was did you see
No.
No. I mean, there's 2 things. No, another 2 things quickly. But apparently, I don't know whether this came out because of this celebrating older people. But there's a model who's 81 who's hoping to become the next Miss Universe. 81-year-old.
And she wants to be the next Miss Universe.
No, she wants to become the next Miss Universe.
I just
She's
said that. She wants to become the next Miss Universe.
Yeah. She's South Korean.
And she's 81.
Yeah, and she looks quite beautiful in the photograph.
Yeah, no doubt. But she's going to be surrounded by people who are a quarter of her age.
But she says she's I don't know if
Deluded?
it's got to do with this United Nations thing.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, have you seen that? This is now the Trump. Have you seen that huge 43-foot naked effigy of Trump? Because that can't be used. That can't be used for the United Nations Day of Older People. It's called deplorable and offensive. That's what it's called.
43 feet.
Yeah, have a look at it. He's naked.
That's a very precise measurement.
Yeah, it's 43 feet naked effigy.
Nude Trump on tour. Naked statue of former president appears again in New City after vanishing in Vegas. I must see a picture of this.
Yeah, you must.
Oh my God, there it is. Oh no.
It's going to go on a tour, but I don't know if they. I came across.
Well, what I'm looking at is not naked. He actually has
They're not saying it from the front. I think they put pushing
Oh,
it.
that's from behind, is it? Oh, well, that makes it even worse. Oh, my God. My eyes. Thanks a lot, Jan. You've ruined my life. Once seen, you can't unsee it. I'm very upset.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Adrian emails, with talk of sausages and meat, please tell us the story of when you worked in a pie factory. No. No. I've told that way too many times. And it's pretty unedifying stuff, and you wouldn't appreciate it if I told you now. It's nightmare-inducing. This text says 4 square sausages, or 4 pork sausages, or 4 black puddings, 4 beef sausages, £5 to £6. You buy your rolls separately. Yeah, but that's no good because rolls come in 6. So then what are you going to do? You got 6 rolls and 4 sausages. Don't work. Mark in Sheffield says, Nick, how can you possibly deny the amazing Scottish breakfast with lawn sausage? Are you sure you lived in Edinburgh, fella? Disgraceful, says Mark in Sheffield. I never heard of a lawn sausage. Sounds awful. I mean, they did have that sort of... Was it spam? I don't quite know. But sort of a mystery meat that was like pink. In much the same way as the oh, God, here I am talking about it again. When I was working in a pie factory, they had great, giant vats of gelatinous stodge that kind of was pink. And you thought, oh, what's coloured it that? Don't even think about it. Marion says, in my younger travel days, I once asked for a latte from a traditional Italian cafe, and they gave me a glass of milk. So I was suitably educated. Well, if it was after about 9 o'clock in the morning, they wouldn't have imagined that anybody would want milk, like a big, frothy, milky coffee, because that's breakfast, that is. James in Preston says, hi, Nick. I am currently deciding on a custom phone case for my mobile phone. I was going to get one with a photo of Colonel Gaddafi, but I wonder if Liz Truss would be better. Well, Liz Truss would make people laugh, which I'm not sure is the case with Colonel Gaddafi. I think both would be a conversation starter. But you probably wouldn't want to have the conversation on the phone, though, because people don't use their phones to talk anymore, do they? They just use it to send endless texts, which is what I'm experiencing this evening. On and on and on they go. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll talk about this. This will get you angry. Awkward photos show James Cleverly enjoying a Wimbledon freebie with his wife, despite claiming that she wasn't there. What? The Tory leadership contender and his wife, Susanna, accepted tickets for the men's single final last year. The men's single final. Can you imagine?
Boring.
But an official government record states he did not bring any family members or friends with him. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Pictures uncovered by the Mirror show James Cleverly sitting side by side with his wife, watching Carlos Alcaraz face Novak Djokovic on the 16th of July last year. The then Foreign Secretary also had lunch in the President's suite as a guest of the Lawn Tennis Association. Can you imagine? A Tory loophole meant he didn't have to declare the cost of the day out. The exemption applies to hospitality and gifts accepted by ministers linked to their duties. Although, in wonderful understatement, the Mirror says it's not clear how attending Wimbledon related to his job as Foreign Secretary. And I'd suggest that it's not clear because it wasn't connected to his job at all. He just wanted to go. The official hospitality record released by the Foreign Office states no in the section asking whether a spouse, family member or pal joined him. They asked, did a spouse, family member or pal join you? And his answer was?
No.
No. And furthermore...
No, 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 no.
He said...
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Whereas the actual answer was yes.
Yes.
In the photos, Mrs. Cleverly is shown in a pink top and sunglasses, if you please, sitting next to her husband, who was wearing a grey suit and shades. This is above centre court. Or, to be fair, it could have been somebody else's wife. Those are your choices, James Cleverly. You were either there with your wife, and you said you weren't, or you were there with somebody else's wife, who looks a dead ringer for your own. Select. A spokesman for the Tory frontbencher told the Mirror that they failed to declare his wife, and that was a mistake. So many mistakes. Up to their eyeballs in mistakes, the Tories. Other freebies declared by Mr. Cleverly through the government departments include tickets to a Six Nations rugby match, a film premiere, and a dinner celebrating a new art exhibition. But as these were declared through the Foreign Office and the Home Office, a loophole brought in by David Cameron means the value does not have to be revealed. You remember David Cameron, don't you? No! Yeah, that's him. Yeah. As Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly accepted the Wimbledon tickets as well as a film premiere ticket from Warner Brothers in February last year. His office declined to say which film James Cleverly watched. But Warner Brothers releases around that time included Magic Mike's Last Dance, Mummies, Creed 3, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And I'm going to go with the film Mummies as a guess. Or maybe not. Maybe it would remind him too much of the cabinet ministers under Fishy Sunak.
This government...
Exactly. So maybe it was Magic Mike's Last Dance. Oh, that was the wrong one. There it is. I would have just said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm busy that night, whatever night that happens to be. Rules brought in back in 2015 mean that when government frontbenchers receive hospitality in their ministerial capacity, details are published by departments rather than on the Transparency Register for individual MPs. Huh. And crucially, this doesn't have to include the value of the freebie, which certainly sounds like it's got David Slippery Cameron's hands all over it.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, we're still not missing you, Dave, by the way, in case you were wondering. But we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed or where they keep the tools. So, I mean, that's absolutely priceless, and that's one of, if not the reason, why it looks like Skier has accepted so very much, is because the Tories have excused themselves from announcing how very much they personally took when they were ministers. Because ministers, after Cameron's intervention, didn't have to fess up to how much it was that they were taking, or who they were taking it from, or how much it was that there was the value of what they were taking. Absolutely everything they accuse the other side of is a confession. Labour, by the way, has pledged to abolish the David Cameron loophole. Cabinet Office Minister Pat McFadden said the ministerial code will be rewritten to prevent the value of freebies being concealed. And this is part of the reason that they are so... they sort of set themselves up for failure, the Labour Party. It's because they confess too much. They actually state the value and where they got stuff from and who was it and what was it and what they did with it. Whereas the Tories just tried to draw a veil over the whole thing, tried to eliminate light from the case and hope with the fingers crossed that we wouldn't find out about it. And if we did, they'd say something asinine like...
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
Yeah, just gaslight us to death. So Labour has pledged to abolish this loophole. Why is that hard to say? Cabinet Office Minister Pat McFadden said the ministerial code will be rewritten to prevent the value of freebies being concealed. He said this was a Tory loophole brought in so that you would have an event where the Tory minister was, as it was under the last government, and the Labour shadow opposite number would also be there, but only the Tory minister would not have to declare the value of the tickets or the dinner or the schmoozing or whatever it was. How cynical is that? The Tories essentially brought in a rule that says, we don't have to tell you how much we're taking, but the Labour Party in opposition does. Pat McFadden said that was the Tories' rules. We don't think that's fair, so we will close that loophole so ministers and shadow ministers are treated the same going forward. A Tory government spokesman said... yeah. He says, that's why when you see the next edition of the Ministerial Code, it will close the Tory declaration loophole because this government is committed to being more upfront and open than our predecessors. Even this government.
This government will have integrity at every level.
Yeah, every level, yeah. Whatever happened to him? On Tuesday, cleverly said he wouldn't stop accepting gifts. He told an audience at the Tory party conference, I will accept gifts every now and again. The problem is not the accepting of gifts, particularly if those gifts are properly declared, he said. But the only reason that I've been speaking about this is because he didn't properly declare the gift. Sat next to his wife while claiming that he wasn't sat next to his wife at Wimbledon. Wife? What wife? It's just one of those many, many accidents. How many accidents have Tory ministers had?
And one.
More than that.
Two.
More than that.
6 million.
Yep, that's about right.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. Let's have a caller in Greenwich. Laurie.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I've got a quick story about customer service. Listen, it's really making me laugh. But before I get to that, I just want to say that loophole you're talking about, David Cameron, that's why they called him Dodgy Dave.
Well, that's one of the reasons. One of the many, many reasons.
Yeah, many reasons. So back in 2000, I worked in a college for quite a few years in central London. And on one summer, there was this Canadian girl, and she was an apprentice, but she was really funny, like a real character, had a big personality, and she had a bad experience in a restaurant the night before something, and she was telling everyone about it the next day. And she was getting really irate, but she made this one sentence which stayed with me for over 20 years, and she said, in England, customer service don't exist.
Well, the service part, a lot of people seem to have a problem with the service part of that, yeah.
So that just cracked me over the title. I mean, so maybe things haven't changed that much after all these years.
Well, they haven't changed in relation to... No, I've never been to Canada. I don't really know. I think from what I'm aware of Canada, it's like America without a lot of the colour or crazy. But yeah. American service is super nice and super efficient.
I mean, I've been to New York a few times, and it is, yeah.
Well, yeah, New York's a bit different. New York is... I can remember the first time I went to New York, I went to a sandwich shop, and I got to the front of the queue, and I still hadn't quite made up my mind. And I was looking at the menu on the wall, and he said, next, looking at me, and I was still looking at the menu, and he skipped by me and went to the next person, and so I was out of the queue.
Well,
and it all happened so fast. I just wasn't ready for it, and that was it. I'd had my chance, and I blew it. That's New York.
To be fair, that sounds fair enough.
I suppose so, yeah.
Anyway, great show.
All right, thanks a lot, Laurie. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, like Middle America, where things are slow, they're super, super nice in restaurants. I mean, they can't do enough. That whole concept of a bottomless coffee cup was like a revelation to me. Or you go and fill up at a gas station and there's free drink and like snacks in a petrol station. But that's in the middle of nowhere where they're fine. Well, they were fine to me at the time because I was, I was a white guy with a funny accent. If I'd been the opposite of that, it might not have been so fine, But New York's completely different. They haven't got any time and they don't care. Get out of my way. I guess in much the same way as London is different to the rest of the country. It always surprises me when I go out of London and you go to a shop or a coffee store or whatever, and people are so slow. And if you're still on London time, you get irate straight away. The people aren't snappy and quick and fast, and it seems like everyone's on drugs outside London. You're slowed down so much. But, that's just what you get used to, the speed of being in a big city. I mean, you don't think about it until you go somewhere else that's much slower and calmer and I guess more pleasant and more human and more neighbourly, I suppose. Whereas there's just so many people crammed in the big city that nobody has time for anybody else, and you just want them to get out of your way and stop bothering you, which is not a good attitude to have if you're serving in a restaurant. This text says, "Hi Nick, a few years ago I dropped some clothes in a charity shop in Notting Hill, where I live, and the woman at the shop asked me, what are the brands and sizes?" Well, just look in the bag, woman, you'll see the brands and sizes. Brands and sizes. That's Notting Hill for you. It says, has this giving back countries set the ball rolling? Will Africa now break into different regions? Russia and Crimea, Ireland, the north and south, Wales, not part of UK, Scotland the same. Yikes, what pond is now developing into an ocean here? I restate my case about the robots.
Affirmative.
Like a lot of these things, these messages do appear as though they have been written by a robot. Highly suspicious. That Elon Musk isn't responsible for any of this, is he? This text says, £10, slab of square sausages, then Asda for a loaf of bread, great sandwich. I don't know, just the whole idea of a square sausage just kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. Shouldn't sausages come round, not square? Although there was a company that was their thing, wasn't it? Was it Wendy's? They ain't here no more, as far as I'm aware. This says, Nick, Boris Johnson was insinuating that because Sue Gray now works for Labour, she made up the report on the government behaviour during COVID lockdown. The blooming cheek of the man.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
How can anybody who's pulling in that much money, both from the things that he does for money and also other people around him who, in some cases, appear to have adopted him as a pet, they're pouring so much cash all over him, how can he still be in desperate need of more money, going around flogging that book by saying the most silly and outrageous things? And that there's so many people who still want to hear it, though. I mean, that's what's extraordinary to me. Richard in Ayr texts, Rick Stein went to Edinburgh and had a morning roll with steak lawn sausage, which is a square slice for breakfast with a cup of tea, and he loved it. Well, he might have said he loved it, but did he actually love it? What's a lawn sausage? Lorne. I'm going to have to look that up. Lorne. Is that a brand name, maybe? One moment, please. Yeah, you see, that's the kind of thing that, no. A lawn sausage is known as a square, flat sausage or slice, is a traditional Scottish food item made from minced mystery meat. Could be anything in there. Although termed a sausage, no casing is used to hold the meat in shape, so it's not a sausage. That sausage is telling an untruth. Liar! Exactly. It's more like a meatloaf. That's exactly what it is. It's a meatloaf, it's not a sausage. So people have been lying about me, about Scottish food on this programme. And I apologise for any inconvenience.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
I'm very apologetic. Drew in Stroud Green says, the British Empire morphed into the British Commonwealth. Mauritius thus became a member of the Commonwealth, and so too the Chagos Islands. They remain Commonwealth members, so the empire roots are not entirely severed. Your upset caller might be comforted by this news. Yeah, I seriously doubt it. I think he's probably still very irate. Turning puce, he is. How many more of these? Oh, wow. I can't believe it. This has almost never happened. I've got through all of the texts and emails during the one show. I won't have to come back tonight and wipe them up for you. I almost feel like I need to take a run-up at these. Only 2 left. And then what am I going to do? Andy in Plymouth says, what is more shocking? An MP, in this case James Cleverly, accepting a freebie, or an MP, James Cleverly, accepting a freebie and taking his actual legal spouse? Yeah, but it's the part where he said, I didn't take my actual legal spouse with me, that's concerning. I mean, that's the only reason that it's a story, apart from, without running into they're all the same territory, politicians get offered tickets for stuff all the time. Now, they can deny themselves the pleasure of going to those places or having those dinners or taking those trips or whatever it might be, or they can just say thanks very much, and in the best circumstance, they might check themselves to make sure that they don't then do a favour for the people that are giving out the tickets. But it doesn't matter whether they do or not, because it just looks bad. The difference appears to my eye that the Tory party were forever trying to cover this stuff up, and the Labour Party have been hoisted by their own petard by being so blatantly honest about it. By comparison. This says, Nick, so many bad things are happening around the world at the moment that I can't keep up. Could you let us know how many of them... Could you let us know how many of them are Meghan Markle's fault? Thanks. Well, I refer to my expert counter. Is it...
And 1?
No.
2...
6 million, I think.
6 million.
Yeah, exactly right. 6 million, Meghan Markle. Yeah, when will you ever stop interfering with our affairs? Yeah, there are so many bad things happening around the world, and I recommend you put your brain in neutral and just float downstream every now and again. Just take yourself out of it. Stop doom scrolling. It ain't going to make no difference one way or the other, whether you read about what might happen in World War III. Will have no bearing on whether it actually happens. And, you know, every now and again you just need to have some HAPP-winess in your life. Go ahead, you deserve it. And Pete says Johnson's book should come with a free box of matches. Any thoughts, Bodge?
I can't comment.
Can't comment on that. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's another one just come in. A late edition. It says the term square sausage pretty much does what it says on the tin, but for context, instead of being put into casings like traditional link sausages, the sausage meat mixture is formed into a block and sliced to make more of a patty. Yeah, it's a meatloaf. You took the words right out of my mouth. 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 Out of my mouth.